all the events that we're having.
Marshall, the director of tribal housing for the Flanders Santee Sioux, is working as fast and as hard as she can to get any tribal members registered in this year's count. She's doing well thanks to some special marketing tactics, like a raffle for a laundry basket full of supplies every other week for those who sign up. In fact, Flandreau has one of the highest counts in Native country across the nation. But she knows there are far more out there to be counted. And there's a lot at stake. Funding for roads, healthcare, education, housing, even something like state and federal aid for COVID-19 relief. What is allocated for any of it in the coming years depends on what gets turned in over the next few weeks.
It's very scary to know that we are so undercounted. And living here, how many Native people live here, not just from our tribe, but from all tribes. And they're not understanding the importance of the census and what those numbers can affect.
In the last census, American Indians and Alaska Natives had the highest undercount rate of any ethnic group. That's according to the National Indian Council on Aging. Among the reasons, unemployment, education, poverty, and more than 80% of reservation lands ranked among the country's hardest to count areas. Here in South Dakota, Secretary of Tribal Affairs David Flute offers another insight.
But because there is a shortage of housing, a huge shortage, we don't want to see homelessness. So some tribes are a little flexible with allowing families to live with families, and for some of those families that do not want to get in trouble with their tribal housing, some of those members do not fill out the census form because they think it's going to be held against them by their tribe. So there are some challenges like that.
But the resources are there, Flute says, to get it done. It's just up to each of us to sign up. Carlene Wild, Dakota News Now.
Flute says tribes are all provided with a lot of information to send out and share, but it is on tribal members themselves to fill out the forms, just like it is for everyone else. By the way, the process is easy. You go to census.gov. Filling out the forms only takes a few minutes to do. And again, this deadline, unless something changes, is coming up on September 30th.
A national fast food chain is overhauling its menu. We'll tell you if your favorite item is on the chopping block in about 15 minutes. Hi, Tyler.
Hey there, Kelsey. Hot temperatures returning for tomorrow and Sunday, but we are going to be ending this Labor Day weekend on a very chilly note. We'll talk about that coming up in your First Alert forecast.
Thank you, Tyler. The president is pushing back against a magazine article that has taken center stage on both sides of the aisle. The latest from Washington, next.
Eric, Vanessa, and Aaron, weekday mornings on Dakota News Now.
The first fields that I planted back to grasses. I was shocked one day. I was just driving across checking the field, and all of a sudden I just stopped the vehicle and there was a lek of sharp-tailed grouse in front of me doing a dance. And I stood there and watched them. We have mule deer and whitetails. I mean, they're more than abundant. I think taking care of the grass and the soil beneath the grass, those other things tend to take care of themselves.
It's the final days of the Democratic race, whose late son served in Iraq, seizing on the story today.
If these statements are true, the president should humbly apologize to every Gold Star mother and father and every Blue Star family that he's denigrated and insulted. Who the heck does he think he is?
A progressive veterans group out today with a searing ad aimed at the president.
My son is not a loser.
A broadside against a commander-in-chief who casts himself as the military's strongest ally. The controversy coming on a day when the White House wanted to promote job gains for the month of August, the unemployment rate dropping to 8.4%. And Joe Biden wanted to take the president to task for not doing more to fight the coronavirus crisis. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Outside, we've got a beautiful night across the Dakota News Now viewing area. In the days ahead, well, there's a little bit of everything. Tyler's First Alert.